Well, obviously it started off on a bit of a tough note, seeing as, we've kind of similar to this year, we finished on a good note. We played some good hockey toward the end, got into playoffs, and really gave Nottingham a scare. And then shortly after the season, we discussed this season with a few guys, and we had 4 or 5 guys that were contemplating retirement, and a couple other guys that really enjoyed their time. I mean, most of them enjoyed their time here, but a couple other guys wanted to kind of test the waters in Europe and see what was out there. And eventually, obviously, 3 or 4 of those guys did end up retiring. A couple guys did test the waters, and we gave them a little bit of time to to kind of hang on to their offer, so to speak, and maybe a bit too long. But you know what, those guys turn around, and guys sometimes when they finish a good season, and you can't give everyone raises, and it just doesn't work like that. And especially the amount of raises that some guys wanted. But that's hockey. I mean, that's a business side of things. Nothing against those guys. From our end, and things just didn't work out, unfortunately, and then we came it was, I think, the end of April, mid-May, and me and dudes were talking a lot about it, and kind of looked as though we might have to go and build almost a new team from scratch, which wasn't ideal. We'd kind of targeted a few players and had hoped to get a good core of guys back, but sometimes those things don't happen, and and it was a very tough summer, trying to build a whole team. It's very tough to do, piece by piece, especially, and get the quality guys, especially, wanting to progress from the season before when we did end on a good positive note. So, a very tough summer, a lot of work, a lot of hours on the computer and on email and phone calls and references and stuff like that. So, luckily we were able to get that team together right at the end there, and got to the season. Nicker became available to us through an agent pretty late in the summer, and he's the guy we thought was relatively needed in Fife. You've seen instances the season before. I remember one time in Fife, and or maybe it was in Nottingham. I can't remember if it was in Nottingham or Fife. That's my short-term memory. But started the face-off. Bobby Schumann, who was our top scorer at the time, gets two-handed across the back of the legs, and nothing was done about it, and the game was won right there before the opening face-off. And mentally at least, and he was a guy that we thought that we needed, but I think the whole organization from the top down, we would never bring in a guy to Fife that would strictly do that, and wasn't capable of playing minutes for us. As depth is something that's important, and obviously you can't have a guy that just comes in and fights and can't play. We got great references about his play. That he could play as well and move the puck, so that was a big thing on us bringing him in, and I mean, he exceeded expectations. I mean, he came in, he played good hockey from us. A bit of a bumpy start there with his first game, but I don't know if maybe social media got into his head a little bit and jacked him up for that first game. Everyone was excited for his arrival, and when he got here, I think he was maybe had that little bit of feeling that he had to please the crowd right away, but we didn't expect that, and that was a tough way for him to start. But you know what, he started playing good hockey for us again after that, and there was the unfortunate incident with Chris Frank, and we lost him for 9 games, which was huge because it was during a really big stretch for us with a lot of conference games, and we had targeted that stretch to really make a move, and we actually had the reverse effect, and we lost a bunch of those games while he was out, which kind of showed the effect he had on our roster. I think it was, looking back, it was a bit of a harsh call. I mean, we stood by Nicker, and he was defending our goalie who was given a cheap shot, and essentially that's what he was brought in to do, and not take suspensions, but defend guys when needed, and that's what he did. So sometimes you got to take the bad with the good, and after that, he played great hockey for us down the stretch, and he was that presence that we desperately needed, and obviously a fan figure as well. When we brought Rock in, it was we had some really bad luck in the summertime targeting top end centers to fill that top line that was left void by Haines, who was a great player for us, and we targeted must have been 5 or 6 guys. There was a couple of guys that we felt we had and fell through at the last minute, and was really funny with that position. And there was one player that we gave a little bit of time to, that we targeted, and he really did his due diligence in looking into Fife and getting references, from his end. And when that fell through, I think we were into July, and we targeted a couple other guys, and they just they didn't have that same interest. And when Rock came by our desk, we just felt that the season before, I believe, thinking off the top of my head, he had 19 goals in about 35 games in Italy, and he was playing for the Slovenian national team. I talked to a couple of people that used to be involved in Team GB setup, and they had said good things about him. And we talked to a couple of people that were involved in the Slovenian national team, and they said good things about him too. So when we signed him, we felt that we were getting a first-line center. And when Rock first came in, he scored goals for us right away when others were failing to do so. And but then after that, he kind of I don't know, something. He just didn't seem to be on top of his game. He had a lot on his mind. He had a lot going on with his family. His wife was ill, and there was a couple times he had to fly back home and come back. So I don't know how much his head was fully in it. Rock was a great guy and a good player. And when we mutually parted, it was it's always tough to do something like that. But you know what, he definitely realized the situation. I think it was a bit of a relief so he could spend time with his family as well. We brought in Haines. That's when we moved Hartung up front, and obviously, threw Haines into that D spot. And again, we had heard some good things about him, well-rounded. Although we didn't have the stats in the East Coast League this season. Last year as a rookie, he had 10 goals, and we had a couple of references that he was well-rounded. Good on both ends of the puck, and I mean, you've seen it when he got here. He was quality. He instantly made us a better team, and had a great opening game against Braehead and a couple goals, and from there on in, he just was fantastic for us. And and then obviously Contois was brought in to be a top line guy as well. I mean, he was the third top scorer in the Danish league one season, which is some regarded as a better league as us. And we felt we were getting a top line guy as well. And again, Contois, another great guy, good in the room, and was you seen flashes of his capability. But whether it was the change of style in play or maybe the pressure of playing in Fife, I don't know. But he really struggled. From a goal scoring point of view and from a creating goals point of view. And when we made that change and eventually brought Lukacevic in, I think it was evident right from the start how much skill Lukacevic had in, and he was hungry and passionate to make a name and make a good first impression for not just the fans, but especially for his teammates and the coaches. So he came in and did a great job for us.